Welcome to the next exercise. What we're going to be looking at here is we're going to be building up a slightly more complex grade. Again, basing everything off Curious Turtles Film Wash for After Effects Volume 4. So the first thing I want to do with this shot is I want to sort of just maybe cool it down a little bit. So let's come up, add a new adjustment layer up here, and let's come over to our cross balance ones here. And we've got 6 main cross balances. We've got Film Wash Daylight to Tungsten, which is going to make things a bit warmer. Or we've got the Tungsten to Daylight, which is going to cool things down a little bit. So let's use Tungsten to Daylight 3. And let's just turn that on and off. So already that's looking quite nice. Let's take the mix back down a little bit and make that a little bit more visible. Okay, and so let's call this Tungsten to Daylight 3. Let's come up now to another adjustment layer and let's give it a bit more of a tone. So we can come up and use our cross processing stuff up here. Let's take something like a light morning. Let's see what that gives us. That'll certainly brighten things up. Taking it in a different direction, and if we don't want that, I'm just going to hit Apple Z or Control Z and undo that, and let's take something like bright faded magenta, and that's giving us a much more sort of vintage, almost perfume-ad sort of look there. Kind of like that there, but let's look at one more before we decide on anything. Maybe Cool Evening. So that's probably cooled it down a little bit too much. Cooler contrast. Or maybe a soft cool. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Again, we've got that sort of real great look. Let's turn that on and off. Yeah, I'm liking that. So if we think that's a little bit too hard still and a little bit too visible, what we can do is we can mix back the original a little bit more. So let's take that to, yeah, almost 80, 78 there. And the same with the Tungsten to Daylight. That's actually, no, that's 39. That's fine there. So we look at the before and after. Looking really nice. So even though we've got over 70 of the different color effects going on here, actually by combining them we've got an almost infinite palette that we can draw on. Let's look at another couple of little things that we haven't seen. So let's rename our layer here. Let's call this Soft Cool and add another couple of things. Well, let's add a vignette as we did last time. I'm going to use the same vignette again, so I'm going to use a darker lips. And let's just keep that at the default values here and just set this to soft light, or overlay also looks kind of good. But with overlay we have to bring it down a little bit more, so just hit T to bring up the opacity. Just keep it fairly subtle, fairly smooth. There we go. We just want a little bit of fading around the edge. So another thing we've got here as part of the vignettes is this little effect called defocus vignette. So again, this is another one where we're just going to make sure that we have no other layers selected. Like all the vignettes, this is what we have to do. And we come to our defocus vignette and just click on that, and we get what looks like a grey solid at the moment. So what we need to do is we need to tell it how to pick another video layer. So with our source over here, we just tell it to find the video layer underneath there, and now we have a completely defocused area going on over here. So what we can now do is we can drag that underneath our vignette, take this track matte over here to alpha matte. Now if you don't have a track matte, you can just turn it on over on these buttons over here. It's the second button along down on the bottom left hand side. And so that's given us a little bit of out of focus thing here going along with our vignette. So our vignette has automatically turned itself off because it's being used as a track mat. So I'm going to turn that back on just to add that back in. We're also losing some of the colours, and that's because layer order matters. We really want our colour effects to go on after the blur's gone in. So we can just drag those up the top over there, and we've now brought in a little effect. So we see the original, looking kind of nice, but if we add the film wash, all of a sudden we've got an image that really pops. Now, because these are done on adjustment layers in After Effects, it's actually really easy just to extend all of the colour effect out so that it goes across your entire composition. So no matter how many layers you have underneath it, they're always going to be affected by the film wash. Cool, let's look at another one. And let's take our night traffic going here. So let's look at the original. We've got a nice shot of driving through New York. Now the sort of feel I want to get with this is I want to get a much more sort of filmic look. I want to get that those real sort of lovely warm tones, a nice bit of film grain, and let's see how we do that. So again, we're going to come up, make a new adjustment layer over here, and let's take a look now at our cross color, and I'm going to be looking at action split tone. So we've got a couple of action split tones. We've got action split tone 1, which gives us this nice sort of cool blue-green kind of feel to it. Or we've got action split tone 2, which is a little bit more warmer, a little bit more vintage here. And I like how that's looking. Again, we can mix this to taste. Cool, so I'm just going to take this a little bit further, and let's come in and we'll take this to 44. So we're making the effect a little bit stronger than it was before. Let's close up all these effects here. Again, we're looking for the effects that have asterisks next to them. So these stars, these are the ones that we can adjust. So we've seen mix back original. Let's desaturate just a tiny amount. Just make it a little bit cooler there. So let's just take a look at the before and after. Looking good so far. We've got another little one here, which is a shift priority. So if we play around with the master hue here, we can make different parts of the image pop. So take a look at this sign over here. As I move this round, this is going to pop more or less, really depending on where we are in the actual thing. So if I take this to, let's say 113 there, and just turn that on and off, you can see that's making different parts of the image pop a little bit more. So this is great for bringing out skin tones or different parts of the image. Cool, I'm liking when that's going. And let's just again, let's make this a little bit moodier. Let's add a really nice vignette. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a dark rectangle this time. So let's turn that on, and this works in the same way as the circular vignettes. We have two controls. We have our distance control here, and we have our main control up here. So if I bring that one over there, bring this one down to about here, we can just start to fade out the edges over here. And let's do the same things we did before. Let's set this one to soft light's pretty good. Overlay is going to be a bit harsher. So let's stick with soft light here, and again just bring that down a little bit. Let's take that maybe to about 60%, 59-60%. Look at the before and after. See how quickly we are able to build this up. So let's come up, make another adjustment layer over here, because what vintage film is going to be complete without a little bit of film grain? So let's come into our extras. Come in, I could use the fast grain, but actually let's go with a full-on filmic grain here. We saw how this worked in the previous exercise. Again, we just open up the controls with the asterisk and set this up how we like it. I mean, this is actually quite nice now, but let's take it a little bit further. Let's set the film grain up to 5. Let's take the strength, the size up to 5 as well, and let's just render that out and see what we got. Cool, and I like how that's going. I really do. I think that's really nice, and it's just been so simple to build it up. And we've taken it from there, which is just a very, very standard bit of footage, to something that looks really quite different, really nice, moody. So remember, there's over 70 different types of colour effects that we've got in Film Wash Volume 4, as well as the other extras, including the film grain, film flicker, and the vignettes that we've got to work with as well. Join me in the next exercise, and we're going to be building on these ideas a little bit further, and again checking out some of the effects that we haven't seen before, including film flicker and the skyline enhance. And we're going to be doing something a little bit different with the skyline enhance as well, other than enhancing skylines. Alright, thanks for now.